Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's actually my birthday today, so this is like the birthday edition. Anyway guys, today's all about in-between moves. So I'm going to show you a game that I played last night, and it's the game of the day. And it's about an in-between move that made the difference. So just for an example, an in-between move is a move that can be classified as when you're going for a trade, you can take, and then when you do your next move, it can be a check, or it can be a forceful move on a more stronger piece. Okay. Anyway, I'll give you an example. So we opened up. So in this game, I did the Royal Lopez. I did the exchange variation. So just doubling up the pawns. Often we don't need to do that. We can often just simply retreat. And this move is either you're taking or you're just trying to disrupt and bait him to move his pawns. Okay, so sometimes we can go back here and then force him to overextend as well, but this is queen side, so we don't always do that in this position, but you can. Okay, so simple development moves now, and just defending here, so he's attacking here, and we want to also get our bishops. So that's really good. We do a castle, so everything looks pretty clean at the moment. We're ahead of development because we're white. And so he comes down and does the pin. I do the next move, and I actually remove the pin, and I'm half expecting him to take here, and when we retake, this is something I'm actually going to stop doing in the future. Is stop allowing these positions. They're good. I actually enjoy them, but it's just the mindset of saying that it's okay and just getting into it like that and just allowing it. We can't just allow it. We've actually got to really have a strong decision about it. So anyway, he doesn't take, so he likes his bishop, and this is a typical position for the Royal Lopez, having a knights like that. Happy for him to take, and we target the queen, hoping he tries to block and just disrupt his structure in front of the king, and he does, so we retreat. So this is like the first big win. So we had this win, but this is really a big solid win as well. So these small little wins in the end will actually make a difference. So this is what we try and aim for, is just to try and get different little wins across the board to help us control the board. So here we go, we can decide to take. I decided to take this side and free up this way. Okay, so he takes. So I was actually half expecting him to take and then do the exchange, and then I could put my king up there. So I was actually expecting him to do it. So if he didn't take here, this would be a bit of a silly move, I guess. But because he took, and I was expecting him to, we could actually take, and then we could just move our king here. And my whole plan was to get this open file and start launching up a semi-open file to start attacking the king. So some of these plans are actually working right now. Okay, so we're just about setting up the threat. So we've got a threat here, and the diagonal is not good towards the king. So you don't want to open any diagonals to the king at all. He does another bad thing as well. So sometimes opponents and even us, we do these moves as like it's just like a nervous move. He might be thinking I'm going to move my knight here, but he doesn't need to because he's got this piece already. But usually you do these moves to stop bishops and knights from coming here, but he's already done this once. So, but usually you do this one first because people can't come in from the other side of the board, like from off the board, from that direction onwards. They can't because it's just the end of the board. So anyway, so he moves forward to exchange, but he's protecting his bishop and protecting the pawn. So he's totally trying to close up the board. That's fair enough. That's actually worked. I was actually thinking at this stage going for an exchange. So if he takes here, he takes. But this is probably a mistake on my part. Just a little bit ambitious. And sometimes as us players, we can sometimes look for checkmates that aren't there. And we end up sacking all the pieces. And then we come from a winning position into a losing position. So we've got to make sure we don't just sack pieces unless it's a winnable position. Okay, so we trying to move forward, trying to advance, trying to free up these pieces here, and just exchange. Sorry, this piece here, so we can move here and just try and take on his pawns. If he takes here, he'll have Irish pawns, which is 3 in the same file. So he moves his king forward. So that's another thing too. He's starting to get worried. But the thing is, in the end game, you want to move your king forward. But during the middle stage and the start of the game, you don't want to move your king forward. But all these pawns are forward as well. So he probably wants to protect this file. So he's got a decent reasoning. But moving your king forward is always dangerous as well. So we've moved here, and then we're thinking about moving here, put pressure on the queen. Just start pushing everyone back. So we're just going to pull everyone, we're going to move forward, and then just try and push them back. So the plan is going on. And the problem is, so you can see here, so we're trying to make more attention to detail with the pawns now. So moving forward here weakens this square. So as soon as I move here, this queen can come down. So whenever you move a pawn, just make sure that the pawns don't weaken up certain squares. So and this is the same reason why if you move your pawns in front of your king, you weaken these squares. So same thing here, we weaken up in front of the queen. The difference is the queen can actually go through here and attack, and then come back and attack here. So that's probably one of the worst things we did. Okay, so we take. We going for the pawn. So this was a mistake. Queen comes down. This is undefended. So undefended and weakening my structure. So that was a big no-no. So we take, and now we've undone his double pawns, which is another big no-no. We're also opening up this position though, which is an idea. So having this position opening up is not terribly idea. Since he's closed off this area, I did want to open up this area and start thinking about putting my rook and queen down here and start attacking this, start attacking queen side. So now we're going to start attacking the queen. He runs away, or she runs away, and now we're attacking this pawn, and he goes forward, so he sees it. So we go and defend the knight, just trying to make sure we close the position up, and we're trying to break through at the same time, but we don't want to lose and let the queen down this way, because if the queen ended up behind our pieces, we'd be in terrible trouble. So now attacking here, but we're actually defending this square, which would defend that square if the queen went there. So we take the pawn. So this is the first blunder of our opponent. So he should have actually moved across or moved here. So it was a good idea that he went on the semi-open file, but probably the better idea was using this rook to defend this pawn. So always look after your threats first. Okay, so we take, so we'll get a pawn back, or actually plus a pawn, but then he takes here. So, but the thing is, he miscalculates this position, and this is the key position. So in this position, we could trade, but I see a better move. So we want to trade straight away, and then he will just take straight away. Can you think about what I did next that avoided doing this trade immediately? Is there something I could do first? Alright, so after you've looked, okay, I'm going to do it. So this is the move. So this is a check. Okay. So what he could do, he can't move back this way. He can go this way, but he does a blunder. So this is a terrible blunder. So now he blocks the castle. So have a look again at the position. So this was protecting the queen, but it's not now. The position has changed big time, and we can just take the queen, and there's nothing this rook can do about it. So he can't leave because this rook is pinned. Okay, so this was the move of the game, and yeah, he can take the rook, but we just exchanged for a queen. So that was a very good swap. I'll finish the game off. We got check. So now we need to fix up our other pieces now too. This bishop is locked up, hasn't moved for a very long time in the game, which is very good for me. Probably ideas, probably come down here, move across. This pawn's dealing with this square, so it's actually stopping our opponent from moving forward onto our king. So it's very important that we control on this side as well. So it's very important we start moving pieces along here and stop the threats from coming onto our king. Okay, and then he blunders his rook. So yeah, sometimes what I've done in the past is just forget about the total threat. And we just need to keep an eye on this. Look at the moves and just see what is our opponent threatening and deal with the threat immediately. So a lot of people with GMs, they look at and think threats, checks, and then I'm not sure about the next one we could think of, but even discovery checks. But yeah, just threats, checks, and then we can just look at other moves, development moves. So you can look at their plans as well, the opponent's plans, and then we can think about our plans as well. Okay, so now we're in check. And he starts trying to get a perpetual check, trying to get us to go up and down and get a draw. But we've got too many pieces on the board. We do have to worry about this piece now because the rook and the bishop are towards us. We're in a winning game, but we have to make sure we get the position right first, because sometimes having two active pieces onto the king, especially our king, could mean could be a lot stronger than what our pieces are that aren't on the king. So anyway, we're trying to get our queen in the game. Look at how the king is isolated on its own. So really, if you have a look at the king being alone here, leaving it isolated is not a good idea. So whenever you're in defending, which he should be in defense mode, he should have his rook here next to the king and avoid the checks. So we move in, trying to take the pawn, but we're not really worried about the pawn, but we are defending it at the same time, so that even means that move was even sillier. But we just take anyway, so we're just looking to get more material, and we're just going after the checkmate at this stage. So we don't even care about this. We think we can get the checkmate before he can promote. Okay, so we start trading. So I sacrifice a rook for a pawn, and this is what you call a clearance sacrifice. So we're just clearing in front of the king. So now the king is open on this file, and this is open now and open at the back. So that was a clearance sacrifice. So that's two things you've probably learnt in this video. You've got clearance sacrifices, and you've got the in-between moves as well. So notice how the pawn still hasn't promoted. So we're following the plan. We still got the rook, the knight. Also, the rook could probably come down here and pin the knight, but he didn't. And we actually took. So this was another blunder. So sorry, I didn't say that move straight away. So we went here from here to check. And you always want to check the board to see if you can check the rooks. So in towards the end game, these type of checks are very important. So you want to always see what your lines up and if you can attack the rook or any other file while attacking the king. Okay, so it runs away. We take the rook. And we take the pawn. So the threat's totally gone now. And I started promoting just to get the king out, but now we can just, and he resigned. So he resigned in that position. And we're getting low in time too, so we had about 15-16 seconds left, so we had to move at the end there quite fast. And anyway guys, so yeah, so in between moves and a clearance sacrifice in this one. So yeah, thanks for watching the game, and I'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget to catch my stream later tonight.